Hi, good morning, and welcome back to Insurance 101. Today, I'm going to be giving some information in regards to understanding the basics of a homeowner's insurance policy. I'm going to start off by saying, please forgive me for not having on any makeup, wearing workout clothes. I'm actually on my way to the gym, and my nails not being done. One of my subscribers decided to tell me, please get rid of the red nail polish and just make it clear. But if that's what you're focusing on, then I got to tell you, then maybe this is not the channel for you. You need to be where they're going over there, beating their face and doing whatever. But please forgive me. But I'm going to go get my nails done later on today after I finish working in the gym and everything. But this is in regards to basically understanding a basic homeowner's policy. So you do have several types of homeowner's policy. You do have an HO2 policy, which is what I would call a basic policy. It only covers certain things. Those things that would be covered would be basically theft, vandalism, wind, fire, lightning, weight of ice, snow, or sleet. So that is your basic policy. But the type of policy that I actually always usually write when someone actually goes and purchases a home is, I call it an HO3 policy. You guys are just going to call it a homeowner's policy. So, and then you also have your HO4 policies, which is also known as your renter's policy. So an HO3 policy gives you that in-depth coverages that you would need. So let me explain to you some of the parts of a homeowner's insurance policy. So the section one would be your dwelling coverage, and your dwelling is basically the structure itself. And everyone always says, when I write the insurance policy, they look and say, well, why is it I purchased a home for X, Y, and Z and you're not insuring it for that amount? Well, let me explain to you how we come up with what it would cost to insure that structure or the dwelling. We will basically say, you take it's basically, you take the dwelling amount and you say, okay, you take the square footage and we'll times it by basically what it costs to replace in that area. So if it's going for about, let's say, if I have to call a contractor and say, hey, what is it'll cost me for you to wake up out of the bed, come and actually rebuild my house in the event that it burns down to the ground, and I need you to build it from the ground up, how much will you charge me for that? They might say to you $250 to $300 a square foot, depending on what area you're in. Again, I'm going just off of New York State coverages and how we actually would calculate just to get you what that dwelling replacement cost is. Then people always then say to me, well, then it seems like you're lowballing it. You have to remember, we do not insure the land, for the simple fact that in the event that the home burns down to the ground, we're expecting that you're going to rebuild on that same land. So we're not insuring the dwelling for what it would cost to buy you a new home, but what it would cost to rebuild that particular structure, like, kind, and quality. The next coverage that is on the policy is considered to be other structures. Now, what is other structures? Other structures, let's say that you have a shed sitting in your backyard. That is considered to be an other structure. Someone always asks me, well, how is it that you come up with this amount for the other structures coverage? So the next couple of coverages, which would be your other structures, personal property, and loss of use, that is always going to be a percentage of what the dwelling or the home is insured for. So people say to me, well, I don't have any other structures, get rid of the coverage. Well, it's a built-in coverage, okay? So I cannot get rid of the coverage, so stop asking me, all right? And you do have other structures. So if you have a sidewalk, that is still, a driveway, that's considered to be another structure. If you have a pool in your yard, that is considered to be another structure. So anything that is not permanently affixed to the home that is sitting on your land, that is considered to be an other structure. No, your husband is not another structure. We'll go ahead and deal with that on another topic, okay? Now, the next coverage that we have is something called personal property, or I like to also call it contents coverage. So what do you consider to be contents coverage? Take your home, shake it upside down, Anything that you're going to walk away with is considered to be contents coverage. That would be anything that's tangible, such as, I would say, your Keurig, which I love my Keurig, or anything that you could possibly think of, clothes, workout things, anything that is considered to be personal property. Loss of use coverage. Now, the loss of use is, let's say that in the event something happens to the home and you're not able to live there while they're actually doing repairs to the home. I'm going to tell you now, I am not knocking on my mother's door asking her, can I stay there? I love her dearly, but within about 2.5 days, I will probably want to strangle her, and she will probably actually kill me, since she is my mother, okay? So therefore, this coverage would actually pay for if you had to put a trailer on your yard while they're doing the work. Would allow you to put the trailer on your yard. Or let's say I actually had a lot of people during Sandy, they actually had to stay in hotels, and this is actually what covered them. Then you have your liability coverage. So your liability coverage is, let's say if you're found liable for something, let's say I come to your home, I slip and I fall, and now you're actually found liable. This is what would pay out. And also, I'm going to give you a little example. Most people don't know, if I'm sitting at a baseball game and I'm stretching and I'm yawning and I make a mistake and I hit somebody in the nose and I break their nose, believe it or not, that's covered underneath the liability coverage of your homeowner's property. So be careful out there. Then you also have something called medical payments on your homeowner's policy. The medical payments coverage is not for you. It is for others. So what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, my boyfriend decides to come into my home. He's cooking me dinner. Now here it is. All of a sudden he cuts his finger, and now I need to take him to the hospital in order to go and get a stitch. That would actually be covered underneath the medical payments portion of the homeowner's policy. Now, you always want to make sure that you have replacement cost on your contents and replacement cost on the dwelling. And let me explain to you why. There are so many times when the adjuster, let's say a loss occurs to the house, the adjuster will come out now and say, oh, it's going to basically go ahead, and I'm estimating that it'll cost you, and I'm just going to throw out a number, I'm estimating that it'll cost you about $5,000 to repair that damage. But now here it is. You go and you're looking and you get 3 or 4 estimates, and you're looking and you're saying that it costs you $7,000, $9,000, and $10,000, and you decide to take the estimate, let's say, for $7,000. Now here it is, there's a gap. But now you go back to your insurance company, you have the repairs done, go back to your insurance company and say, hey, I actually had to pay $7,000 in order to get these damages repaired. Here you go. Here's the bill for that. So that is the replacement cost. What it costs to replace that particular damage, like, kind, and quality. So you want to make sure you have replacement cost on contents, replacement cost on the dwelling, because sometimes we do buy things and get them on sale, such as TVs and things of that nature. Now, there are 14 things that I want to tell you that basically you need to buy a rider for, which would not be covered underneath your regular homeowner's policy. So if you have guns, ooh, those things that I like, those little pretty things, you're going to want to make sure that those, you have a rider for that. Your jewelry, but your musical instruments, artwork, coins, stamps, expensive bicycles, antique furniture, any type of wine collection, landscaping, family cinema, if you have any of those things, also your decorative rugs, expensive cameras, so on and so forth. Those things are only covered for up to $1,000 on your homeowner's policy, and most people carry what? $1,000 deductible on their policy, which means that if you carry $1,000 deductible on your policy, that you have no coverage. So I just want to let you know, those are some of the things that I would actually go ahead and get something called a PAF for. And a PAF just simply stands for a personal articles floater. I want to also let you know that there are certain things that you can actually be reimbursed for underneath your homeowner's policy, which most people don't know, in the event of that a loss occurs. So for example, I'll give you an example of Sandy. Due to the fact that it was not considered to be a hurricane, it was not considered to be a hurricane. It was considered when it touched down to be a tropical storm, and I'll go through how they considered things to be hurricanes, tropical storms, and so on and so forth later on as to how deductibles will pay out. I'll do that in another video, because if I don't, then this video will be 30 minutes long, probably even longer than that, and I've got to get my butt to the gym. So certain things are really actually covered underneath your homeowner's policy, and you can get reimbursed for. One of them would be, let's say, like I just told you, your hotel expenses, your groceries, cost of moving property, cooking supplies, storage facility, baby supplies, clothing, pet boarding, and gasoline due to increased mileage. So some of these things can actually be covered underneath your homeowner's policy. Even, I want to say, landscaping replacement amounts. You can even, let's say, for example, you have a tree that fell in the backyard. You have to basically see if you want to have that debris removal, so you want to have that removed. That would be something that would be covered underneath your homeowner's policy. So I just want to say thank you again for watching. If this information was helpful and informative, don't forget to click the like button and to also subscribe. You can always leave me any questions that you have. I'll make sure that I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Again, I just want to let you know, every single company is different. Every single company covers different things. So you want to make sure when you sit down with your agent and your broker that you discuss what parts are covered underneath your policy, what parts are not. Oh, and there's one more thing. I just wanted to also let you know there's a coverage called off-premises theft coverage. I usually, for those people, it's always, anything is subject to your deductible, but those people who know that they travel, and let's say that you travel and you have more than $2,000 worth of clothing in your suitcase or things of that nature. If you do not have off-premises theft coverage and then your things get stolen while you're not on your premises, that would not be covered. So you want to make sure that some of these coverages that you have, again, this is just for informational purposes. Every single state has every single different rules and regulations. You want to always make sure that you double check with your state's rules and regulations prior to doing anything. So if you have any questions or anything of that nature, please, once again, like I said, please feel free just to go ahead and drop me a question. I'll make sure that I answer it. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and that little bell, just so you'll get notifications anytime that I post a video. I want you all to have a wonderful day.